Thank you very much for signing in. Good afternoon, everybody.
I'm hoping that today's lesson will actually, it's not even a lesson, it's a project. So what we're going to be doing today is actually going to be a compilation of how to create a dashboard. Has anybody ever heard of the expression dashboard?
Only from you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's my goal today. As soon as everybody gets in, I have some files that I'm hoping to be able to upload. There's going to be let me explain this. I'm actually not the originator of what I'm going to share with you today. Remember when we did the VLOOKUP and we did the Starbucks? Anyways, the fellow who did that, he created this 3-part webinar for introduction to dashboards using nothing more than the pivot table and the pivot chart and the slicers. And it's such a brilliant way. So I did this a couple of years ago. Actually, I think it was Bust My Topic SAP group. Yeah, it was. Not how long ago. So anyways, that being said, I have modified his webinar. I'm going to provide his videos. I'm going to provide his files. But if you don't go through it, if you just do it by yourself, there's a lot of little nuances and little things that, you know how when you put a presentation together, sometimes you make shortcuts or this or that. So that's one of the things that he does. He's a lot of little, to make it kind of even. So I'm going to try and translate what he did. You'll have the original 3 videos. You'll have the original 3 files. And by the time we're done today, we will have created our own dashboard. And so let me show you what one looks like. I'm going to show you mine, which I did this morning. It is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So you guys, yeah, it's going to be entertaining. So all right, so let me show you what mine looks like. It took its own sweet time. So this is what the end product looks like. Behind there are a bunch of charts and pivot tables. Did you know all of these charts and pivot tables we're going to be working with is based on one pivot table? Everything else is duplicated or copied. So this is what it looks like. And so you notice there's only 2 slicers. And if I select the east, okay, then you'll see everything that relates to the east. I should have actually made these things a little closer so you can actually see that. And you notice, so let's say I clear the filter. Let's say I want to see Maria. So this is what the superpower or the magic of the dashboard is. It's like, think about it, you're sitting, it could be for yourself where you're trying to assess what you need to, or maybe it's for a customer or a client. And the best thing about this, his explanation, I don't even lay claim to being close to mine, is that he gives you a really good definition and understanding what we're doing, why we're doing, and how it relates to the whole process. So I think for you guys, it's going to be really a lot of fun. We're going to work hard, and I think it's a great project. If we need more time than today, we do, but I don't think we do once we get through it, once we get going. So that's okay. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to start sharing files. Stop sharing for starters. And as I said, I am quite thank you, Kate, for saying good afternoon. Remind everybody else. Also say writing good afternoon, if you wouldn't mind, including myself. I'm absolutely certain. I even have a very important, I've scripted everything out word for word almost. So, but yeah. So I'm really excited. So let me start sharing some files with you. And then as soon as the files are shared, then I'm going to turn on the recording. Hey, good afternoon. There you are. Good person. One of the other good things about this is John Acampora, our Starbucks guy, he also gives you a lot of cheat sheets, help, things like that. So if you haven't already signed up, please do. Okay, let me add another one to this mix. Well, my computer, that it is VLOOKUP and shortlist. The VLOOKUP Essentials Guide and the shortlist, the essential guide is going to be useful for us anyways. The shortlist I downloaded for you guys just because I thought it'd be useful, again from a wonderful guide from John. Oh my gosh, he's so good. And the third one is here. All right. So the end product is the one that I'm sharing with you right now. So this is what it looks like. Is that the one? I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. So, intro to pivot tables. I don't know which one is this. Okay, yeah, perfect. So this is the one we're going to start off. Okay, so it's Intro to Pivot Tables, Part 1 SAP. So once you've downloaded it, please save it with your name, your initials, whatever you'd like to. And I'm going to do the same. Once I've done that, then I am going to share my screen. Everybody can see me. Everybody can hear me. Yep. We have...
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. All right. So the first little bit, it's going to be in his videos anyways, but basically what he talks about is the videos about what they are, about the pivot tables. And essentially the reason he did this is because he has got a product called Pivot Pal, I think it is called. And his goal, obviously, is to sell his products. Really, I don't have it, but I've seen it before, and it's really good. But that being said, that's why he does it. So at the end of each of his videos, you'll see his little ad for that, and it's pretty darn good. So the other thing is you'll notice he has this little definition. Where does each part of your pivot table, where does it go when you're looking at your pivot table? And all right, so for those of you who were here, stepped in a few minutes later, what we're doing today is a project, and we're going to be creating ourselves a dashboard. I'm providing lots of external resources. We're going to break it down into 3 different workbooks, but eventually at the end of the day, it'll be one. Okay. All right. So that being said, this is where we are. And so if you notice in the data sheet, we're going to see the data set. There's a lot of it. Okay. It's your responsibility to scroll through and have a look. But you can see by the scroll bar, I'm not going to zoom in yet simply because we don't need to, but there is a lot of stuff. All right. So now put your insertion point anywhere in your data set, then select the Insert tab, and then Tables Group, and then select Pivot Table. When you do that, a new pivot sheet, or a new sheet will appear. Yours will be sheet 1. Mine will be sheet 2, just because I kind of did a little bit of doodling here. So click anywhere in my table, my data set, Insert tab, Tables Group, and Pivot Table. I don't care about any recommended anythings. I'm just going to grab my own. I'm going to say select the range. Yes, it recognizes it as a table, and it gives you the range. So, and would you like to have it on a new worksheet? Heck yeah. Golly gosh, you better believe it. So when we do that, so yours will say sheet 1. Mine says sheet 2 just because of the way I opened it up. Okay. When we opened it up on the left-hand side, I'm just going to minimize it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, in 2016 it's there. 365 it's there. This was actually based on if you look at his videos, it was actually based on 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, 2014, yeah, 2013 I think is what he did his on. So some things may be different on his video than it's ours. If you've got 365, the insider track, you'll see some really nice changes, but I'm going to make sure I cover everybody. So insert it. So now the next thing I want to do is to click on, I think it's going to be I'm cheating here. I have another laptop open here with everything I need. I know it's cheating, but yeah. Okay. I'm going to select the salesperson and revenue. So when you select the salesperson and revenue, so let's have a quick look over here and see what we've got. This is your field list. These are all, every single box, checkbox in here relates to or refers to a field or a column in our data set. So these guys here. Then you've got 4 little boxes down here. You've got the filters, the rows, the values, and the columns. All right. And so what that is that's how we create, arrange, rearrange, manage, manipulate, slice, dice, and julienne our pivot tables. So this is where we drag everything into it, and then it will appear over here on our sheet. A couple of things. Number one, you should not put any formatting in this area here. Think about the pivot table almost like it's floating on top of Excel. So we're going to select the, we're going to click on and drag the salesperson into rows. All right, so revenue is a lot of here. So I'm going to click and drag on the revenue. I'm going to drag it into the values because this is the only place numbers go. Okay, so the revenue is for this. And you notice when we click it in there, it goes from revenue to sum of revenue. All right, so you guys, we're going to be doing this side by side pretty much. Okay? A couple of things are going to stop us, but we're going to be doing this side by side. So now, what we're going to be doing is also selecting the salesperson. When we if we click on the salesperson checkbox over here in our list, it's actually going to directly go into rows because that's where text goes. So let's click on salesperson, the little checkbox to the left of salesperson. As soon as you do it, it pops down here. And voila, we have created ourselves our very own pivot table. Basically, the person who's made the most money, I want them to appear at the top. All right, so I'm going to select any of the values in the, anything in the numbers here. Right mouse click, and then you've got sort, smallest to largest, lowest, and largest to smallest. All right, so basically Nancy seems to be the largest. She's done most of the sales, and Jan, for some reason or other, is struggling. But how about we apply the formatting to the values? Again, normally if we've been working in Excel, normally what we would do is we'd highlight the cells and go to home tab and that. But remember what I said to you about the fact that this is almost sitting on top of, almost levitating would be a good word. It's kind of got a little tiny mini anchor in the top left-hand corner, but essentially everything else is kind of levitating freestyle. So what we'd like to do is to be able to apply the currency formatting. I personally prefer the number formatting, but in his videos, he uses the currency, so that's what we do. As always, there's more than one way to do this, because it may differ from the Mac and the PC, as well as differ from what version you're using. So the one method that will constantly work no matter what version you're using can be found by going down to the bottom right-hand corner of the where the field list here, and the values. There's a little arrow to the right of that. It says sum of revenue. Okay, so sum of revenue, there's a little arrow. I'm going to click on it. At the very bottom is something called value field settings. Think about that as when we're doing the formatting, if we did any one of the dialog boxes here, basically it's exactly the same, same purpose, but it's just kind of packaged a little differently. We'll come back and summarize values later on, but we're going to select the number format, like I said. I'm not a great lover of it, but if that's what he likes, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do currency. So now, let's apply ourselves a pivot chart. So now I've activated the pivot table analyze. Try saying that fast. I'd like to be able to insert or create a nice little chart. Just nothing fancy, just a pivot chart. The bar. There it is. I'm going to select the bar chart. Bar chart is always best if you're sharing or displaying one value. So it's only going to be sales. It's not going to be sales. It's not going to be income. It's not January, February, March, April. It's one series, one category, if you want to think of it this way. This would be great for this could be also considered a pie chart. So let's size it. This part is to a certain extent entirely up to you. But there's a couple of things we do want to change. So I'm sizing this, maybe not quite that small. Oh boy. I'm so sorry. I do have to zoom out a little bit. I apologize. Put you up here and zoom out a wee bit just to make it easier for me and you to be able to see what I'm doing. Because at this point right now, 120 is good. We're not interested in what's going on here. We're interested in what's going on in a little chart. So far, so good. But we want to tidy this up a bit, okay? We want to make sure that because let's face it, this thing is ugly. There's no two ways about saying it. It's ugly. Even John says it's ugly. So let's tidy. We don't need all these things on here, okay? And I apologize again if I'm going too fast or too slow. I can't see the chat, so if it's something I need to know, please let me know, okay?
No questions so far.
Okay, go for it.
No questions so far.
No question.
Okay, make up one. Fake it. So let's tidy this mess up. We can get rid of most of everything here. But whilst we're cleaning up, what you're going to notice is Jan is on the bottom here, and Nets is on top here. So let's get rid of the buttons first. So I'm selecting sum of revenue. That comes from this guy down here. Right mouse click on the button for sum of revenue. And hide all field buttons on chart. So anything that looks like a little button, it's disappeared. It's getting better. All right. So then we want to get rid of the grid lines. We're going to get rid of the legend. We're going to get rid of the grid lines. We're going to make the bars a little wider. So let's do the grid lines with grid lines. I'm definitely making it work. So click once on any one of the lines going up and down. Sometimes you have to, you may have to do it twice. So click once. If you get the little dots, you get the line with the bubbles on the top and the bottom, that's what you want to see. I'm going to press the 3 key. I'm going to tell you a not so funny story, or a funny story for you guys. I'm doing something fairly similar to this. I wasn't paying attention and I deleted everything but the box where the chart was in. Yeah, I was a wee bit embarrassed. All right. But if you look through his videos, you'll notice he makes some small changes here and there. I'm going to try and track what he does in this video. So you'll see there's some slight differences because obviously he wants to have the professional feel to it. So now let's get rid of the axis here. So click on here once. We just want to remove it. 2 ways of doing it. The quick and easy way is select and press delete. Or you can just turn it off by using the little chart elements here and just saying I don't want, which one do I want and not want? I definitely like selecting and deleting. It's a heck of a lot easier. Oh, or not. Okay. And each time we remove an element or a component, you discover that, guess what? We have more space. All right. And so we would like to be able to add a data label. A data label is a little number. We've seen them before in other things. The data label is a little number that's associated to each series or a column here. Well, let's go to so safest, easiest way, again, oopsie. You notice again, always using the top left and right, is to then go to the little plus. Because I have this getting away. I wish there was a different place I could put it. No. You will see pivot chart analyze, design, and format. That's the other place, that's the other location you'll find everything pivot chart related. So like if we go to design, over on the left-hand side, and that's exactly the same as the plus over here. But we're lazy so-and-so, so we're going to click on the plus. Then we're going to go down to data labels. And the one we want to get is, we're going to just see, this is the one we want, the one on the outside. So, and you'll just basically pick one that you like, outside in. That looks good enough. All right, 2 more things we want to do. I said that we want to remove the legend, where it says total wear on the right. And then we're going to do some fancy magical stuff. So I'm selecting and deleting. All right. And these things look pretty darn scrawny. So I want to be able to make my columns, my thick bars wider. And I want to make my, the area between each of those columns or bars narrower, if you will. Okay, so, but before we do that, I would like to be able to switch the order of the names you see. So Jan's on the bottom and Nancy's on the top. Okay, so I'm going to, this part, if I'm going to embarrass myself, this will be it. So I've selected the names on the left. And you notice I'm making sure, I was selecting. And that way, I've activated that. Then I'm going to do right mouse click on it. Oh, as I said, right mouse click, format axis. Okay, so I selected the axis where the names are, and I'm going to select format axis on the bottom. You see the ellipsis, we know we're going to be making decisions here. Done. All right. So yeah, so what we want to do is, let me do this again. So I want to be able to reverse the order of these people here. I want the largest value on the top, exactly the same we have with Nancy. How do we do that? We select the little box here where the names are. And then you can, if you don't see it here, format, so right mouse click, and format axis. Okay, that's what you want to make sure, format axis. Then, almost 2/3 of the way down here is something that says, this is it. Even if you leave here knowing nothing more, this is my tip of the day, categories in reverse order. It makes it look stunning. All right, so now suddenly, it's not just reversing or rotating it, we're actually reversing the order. So now we need to do the thing with the little bars here, so I'm going to select any one of the series. And what I've done is make sure I've highlighted all of these bars. You see the little bubbles or circles on the outside. And so what we're going to do is we want to make the gap smaller and see what happens there. His instructions say 32. I've gone as small as 27, I think it is. What the best thing to do is just drag your little slider. There's no number.
Yeah, I miss, how can I open the series options?
Sure. All right, so just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to go back a bit. This is what it looks like right now, right? So then I select any one of the series bars here, so any one of these blue bars. And then if you need to, you might end up having to go right mouse click and format data series.
Okay.
And then you want to make sure that you are in the series options. So you've got 3 boxes. You've got the fill, the the effects, and then basically series options is the same as properties. So,
okay, I did. Okay, I did.
And then you just make the gap width so that the smaller the gap, the wider the little bars are. Maybe not 12, but that's not terrible. I've got about 15 to 20 seems to be nice, but is there any right or wrong number? He uses 32, and it's fine. Okay. Is there anything else we need to do for that? So, wow, I've actually got page 1 done for me. Very exciting. Okay. And notes. So I'm going to make it a little smaller. It's entirely up to you how large or small, but oh yes, so the one thing you notice here, and it's entirely up to you. One little thing we can do to allow us to not have the overlap of the data series and the data labels. You notice at the very top here for Nancy, do you know, and I can't zoom in anymore, do you notice that the data series or the blue bar is sitting on top of the data label? Here's a little trick, and again, you can do this not even just because it's a pivot table or pivot chart. So I've selected the data series, basically the chart area. Just click anywhere in it. When you see the little balls here or bubbles, you're going to drag it to the left a little bit until it looks good to you. So basically, everything kind of sizes itself in that chart area, which is kind of cool. Yes, I'm easily impressed. I'm so impressed right now. So happy, so scared. All right, so we've done the labels. We've removed the legend. We've added the data labels. We've made the bars look good. But the only thing we need to do is to give it a much better title. Just to remind you, if you're clever and talented and can click in here and type and backspace and stuff, you're amazing. Me, I'm amazing in different ways because I know a better, easy way to do this. I click anywhere in my title box. I go up to my formula bar and look to what is title going to be? Sales by Rep for Deck 2014. So sales rep Did I do 2014? I did. I'm doing it. As soon as I press the enter key, you will see whatever I've typed up here, including my almost typo. You will see that will have appeared in the title. All right, like I said, if there's a way to be lazy, I'm your girl. I've got it. So let's do a quick save because we've actually done Control S. Believe it or not, this is the linchpin, the center, the epicenter, or whatever you want to call it. This is basically all we need to do. Well, we need to do a little bit more. So done a quick save. Everybody's good so far, and I know you guys will stop me if need be. All right.
Yes. Could you please show again how did you reverse the order?
Sure.
Jen Cottes, now it's on the bottom.
Yeah. So let me get this. I'm going to keep this guy, and I'm going to do the whole thing again, if that's okay. That rather than go backwards. So I'm.
And also, I missed the sort area. I didn't do that.
Okay. Did you? So you don't know how to do the sort in the actual pivot table, correct?
No, I did the first table, but I didn't the second table. Select by yeah. Okay.
No problemo. I've got your back.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
So pivot table and analyze, and I'm going to stumble over that word for my life. Then I'm going to go to the very right-ish and select pivot chart. From the pivot chart, I'm going to select the bars type or style, and I'm going to select OK. So first thing I need to do, once you've done everything else, you want to be able to rotate, flip, or do whatever to be so it looks like that, not that. So I'm going to select the names, okay, and so just anywhere in the names, go get rid of you. Okay, so I've selected the name, okay, and then I'm going to go right mouse click, or I'm going to try and go right mouse click. At the very bottom it says Format Axis. You're going to want to make sure that you are in this section, which is Axis Options. So you've got your size and properties, your effects, and your fill. So
Categories in reverse order.
Categorize in reverse order. Thank you, ma'am. You got it.
Thank you.
All right.
Sorry. I missed which one you clicked that one.
No
Which...
problem. Just give me a second here. So I've selected the any other names here. These guys here, basically. This is the axis.
Okay, I did that one. Yes.
Right now, thick format area. Very bottom where it
Okay.
says categorize in reverse order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I did. Thank you.
Perfect. So
I got it.
Yep, no problem. Everything I've shown you, you can do in a regular chart, which is why I love this exercise. I'm teaching you so much more than just pivot tables.
Sure.
All right, so let me go back over here, pivot chart. And I want to make sure my field list is back up because I turned this off. And you can just turn it off if you want to, but because I was doing everything else. So we've got everything. Quick save. And we changed the title to Sales by Rep Deck 2014. We sized the box here a little bit to make it fit. And it's visually very powerful. So you'll laugh at the next step. So, all right, so we are going to save and we're going to close this. Normally we will be continuing on, but we're going to save it for now. And we're going to continue on to the next section. I have modified each one of these, the ones we open up with, so it's exactly like the videos. If you want to look at their videos, it's exactly the same. So he did it 3 parts. We're going to be doing it 3 parts. Congratulations to us. We have completed the first part. What we're going to do in this episode, if you will, we're going to create a couple more pivot charts and tables. And then we're going to add or append some more data into our data set. So let's continue on. So we need to be able to add some more pivot tables and charts rather than recreating everything, knowing that, yes, I am the queen of lazy. There has to be a better way to do it. So basically, I'm going to show you how. This is really, really hard, so you guys better pay attention. This is how we recreate or duplicate a pivot chart or a pivot table. I'm going to press the Control key. Really difficult to do. Then I'm going to left click and drag to my right. Let me do that again. Okay, undo. Okay, so oopsie, went to the wrong place. Let's intro to part 1 and 2. The only difference between mine and his, I'll put it in, so I want to make a copy of it, is click on the worksheet you want to make a copy of, press Control key, click and drag. That's how you make a duplicate. So I'm just going to delete the second one or third one. So I've got sales by rep, and then I've also got sales by rep brackets too. The difference between his and mine, it's a subtle little difference, but let's try and follow along exactly the way he has. He has turned off his grid lines. So if you haven't done it, or if you haven't done it, or you don't know how to do it, I'm going to show you now. If your grid lines are on, you go to View, and you either turn them off or on. It's amazing, eh? What a difference that can make, just something as simple as turning off the grid lines. So we made a duplicate of it, all right? And we want to make sure what we do right now is we want to make sure we activate the pivot table, not the chart. So all our actions over the next little while are going to be based on or related to the pivot table. This is where it gets super cool. What we're going to do is remove one field, and we're going to be, I believe we're going to be adding a different one. So, okay. He's gotten ahead of me, that's for sure. All right, so this is where we are. And stop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the, which one am I going to be removing? Category. So I'm going to remove the salesperson. I just realized my writing is terrible, my printing is terrible. So how do we remove it? You can either right mouse click, or I say remove field, or you can click on the little checkbox, or if you want to be very convenient and efficient, left mouse button on the field that you have, dragging it, so as soon as it changes color, drag it into your worksheet. When you see a little red cross below it, then you know that you've removed it. So we've removed salesperson. That's okay. We're fine with that. So then we are going to replace salesperson with, I can't see a thing. I believe it's categories. Okay. And category is going to be dragged into the row. So this is the cool part of it. Okay, so I've removed salesperson from the row, and now I'm going to replace it with category. And if I'm not mistaken, category is somewhere down on the bottom. No magical way around this. So think about this as the framework or the structure of the same pivot. You'll see why when we get to the end of this. I'm going to select category, and I'm going to drag it down to the row. Okay, now there is something I did in here because it was particularly tricky. Is because some of the in the videos he talks about blank rows or blank, basically blank content. And so what he says is that you're going to find that there are several rows that have nothing in it. Basically, that's exactly what it is. But because they have to represent something, and so what he did was he went to the data sheets, and you see some places have nothing in here. But he said it's kind of hard for me to scroll around here, but so let's see, where is it? I don't want to do too much moving around, but basically he went to the categories, and wherever it said, I'm going to go through the process just to show you. There it is. So he went to categories, all right, and then he did a filter for, at the very bottom was blank. It actually said blank rows. Okay, so he did a filter for that. And then what he did was he replaced the blank rows with, because he did some more searching and reviewing his workbook, and he discovered that somewhere in here, there obviously had been some fees in the shipping fee section. So he gave it the title shipping fee. So every place there was a blank row, or blank cell rather. Let me show you how he did it. So went here, imagine, go to filter, select all, and he went down to shipping fees, except it was blank. Here it was blank cells, and we put the word shipping in here. So I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't need to do it because it's been done for you, but I do want to show you how to, because there's a couple of little tricks in here. If you watch his video, it doesn't work exactly the way he talks it through. So I want to show you what I ended up doing. So all right. Okay, so I'm just showing this to you now. It's a bit out of order, but in fact, I'll come back and I'll show it to you later on. So that's why what I'm going to be doing next looks slightly different. So let me go back to sales by rep and sales by rep 2. Okay, so what we did was we did the sales by rep 2. We dragged out the salesperson from the row, and we replaced it with category. Okay. The shipping fees are here, and I will try and make a point of actually going through the process separately, but later on. So it's basically, I'm saying to you, I'm helping you avoid a landmine by putting this here and helping just to make your life easier. So we've got this. Now we'd like to do, there's a lot of them though. We'd only like to see the top things. I think we'd like to do is to organize or arrange them at one point or another. Filter buttons, value filter top 10. All right, so you can see the beverage. So got them all over the map. We've got baked, we've got beverages. So let's sort these guys highest to lowest again. So I'm going to click anywhere on any one of my values, right mouse click, and I'm going to do the sort largest to small. I always have to think about that one. So, and so you've got beverages up here. So that means that, do you remember last time we did that thing with the switch? We don't have to do it again. You remember how we went in and with the categories and reverse?
When we sorted it from highest to lowest?
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
because we did it in the first in the first pivot table chart, it's followed through with this one, so we don't have to repeat ourselves. All right. So now you notice there's more than 10. In this part of the exercise, he says to us, we would like you to have more than, we only want 10. That's a lot there. So how do we go about that? Okay, then right mouse click on anywhere in here, anywhere my values, right mouse click. If you're not sure about the biggest thing right around my mouse is the filter button, right? And what we'd like to do is we'd like to see the value filters top 10. At the very bottom it says top 10. So what it's doing, it says top 10 items by sum of revenue. That's the only thing we have. So what it's going to do is filter out the rest of them, so we only see the top 10. All right, looking better, looking good. And so no, the only other thing we need to do with this one is top 10 categories for Deck 2014. Okay, so let me help you out with that. For the title, I'll write it out here, and then you can see it. So top 10 categories. That's a long title.
Sorry, hello, Deborah.
Hello.
Can you reshare the pivot table, the part 2? Because I'm unable to open it. I had the same issue with the first one, but when you sent it the second time, I was able to open it. Can you send it again, please? Thank you.
It should have been sent to you in an email by Kate.
I'm not on their mailing list.
Oh, you're not. Okay, sorry. Shoot.
Can you write your email? I will share with you with chat area. Please write your email. I will share with you.
And also, the other thing you want to make sure that you do is you make sure immediately you save it with something. So file save as, and immediately save it with your name. If you can get it open. If you can't, then okay, you're out of luck. Oh no, you're out of luck. You have to figure it out. If it won't open, it won't open. I don't mean it that way. Okay. So, and I got categories. Okay. So top 10 categories for Deck 2014. That tells you how old this thing is, eh? 2014. As soon as I press the enter key, it's going to confirm it. Okay. They should have. And in the sheet tab, I like to do the sheet tab right away. He doesn't do it this way in his video, so you'll see mine slightly different. And let's call that sheet tab is going to be top 10. You can apply any sheet tab coloring you like. It's entirely up to you. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be seeing these sheets. All right. So we've got that done. So now we'd like to add another. So we've got 2 done. And so now we'd like to add yet another pivot table / pivot chart to do some even more calculations. Okay. So let's do that. So make sure I've done that. Step 1, of course, is going to be duplicate sales by rep. Sales by rep. Right mouse click. And the other way of doing it is move our copy and move to the right. Okay. That's why I like the other method. I'm going to delete that and show you the other method. Mucho better. So we're at the top 10. So the safest way to do it is going to be press the control key, click and drag. Right? So don't forget, it's almost like a house card. So the first one we did was sales by rep. We duplicated it and we worked on top 10. Now we're duplicating the top 10 and we're going to be doing something even different, even more different, as opposed to even more the same. All right, so we've got that. So step 1 for this third chart, so chart number 3. This might be the time if you do want to apply coloring to your sheet tabs, you do it now, just simply because that way you can differentiate. But we're not going to be seeing these at the end. So first thing they're going to ask us to do is to select the chart and just shove it out of the way for now. All right, we need a little bit more working space here. we'd like to be able to add the unit price to the values. Let's see what happens if we do that again. Okay, so because it's a number, unit price, okay, because the number, you notice here, even tells you, when I click on it, it's automatically going to go into the sum of values. So let's do that. Unit price, like so. So now we've got that. We'd like to see the average of the unit price. So we can see what they are, but what is the average of the unit price of the beverages? What is the average of each unit price for dried fruit and nuts? So again, we're going to do that. The other purpose, just in case you guys, I'm sure you're wondering why are we doing all these things, is because it's an opportunity to share everything or almost everything pivot table related. So I'm going to either go to the, whoopsie, not that, sum of unit price and click on there, go to the value field settings. Or I can, I'm letting Ms. Dial back in, I can right mouse click on any value in the column sum of unit price. And I can say summarize values by average. That's correct. Yep. It looks a little freaky, and that's fine. Okay. I'm still here. I'm just confirming I've done the right thing. So categories in my row, check. You notice now you have the values in the column. All right, so we've done the average. So we're going to go and right mouse click on here. And we're going to go to, go down to number format or format cells. I'm going to go to number format. I'm going to do currency 0 decimal places. Okay. And then okay. So it looks a little neater. All right, so let's look tidier. Let's go see what's going on over here. Nothing yet. Well, yeah, now you know what's been shoved over here. So far, so good. Let's give you guys a chance there to catch up. So then the third one, it's going to be, we're going to drag down quantity, I think it is. So add quantity to our values. Bear with me, I'm just rearranging my paperwork and making
Debbie,
yes.
So sorry, I have a question. I don't like the way that chart, that graph looks right now. Is how would I, if I wanted to, you know, the average unit prices? No, can you drag the chart back over so we can see it?
No, you can't see it. You're not supposed to see it.
Oh,
right
it's not
now.
finished?
No.
Oh, okay, because I wanted it to not be like under the blue lines. I wanted it to be like right next to beverages, you know, outside of the
reason it, but because you have us, let's look at you've got two huge different ranges. You've got $17,452, and then you've got 23. Then you've got 14,000 and 21.
Exactly, yeah. So couldn't it say like beverages and then right next to it in you know, in brackets, for instance?
No, there is something called a combo chart that we can do, but we're not quite done yet.
Okay,
But wait,
never mind.
there's more.
Sorry, I didn't know I was finished. Okay, I'll let you finish it. I'm not finished. I'll let you finish it. Thank you.
No problem. That's just too funny. So, okay. So you're either watching or not watching, so you notice I have just dragged in the quantity field. So we've got revenue, sum of revenue, we've got average of revenue, and now we've got the sum of quantity. And so we've done that. And we would like to have the counting. How many, so we know the average price, but how many of each item are we selling? Okay, so we're going to do pretty much the same thing as we did with the average. Okay, so I'm going to go right mouse click, either go down to, this is why I don't do it here, go to the sum of quantity and select value field, or you can go to the, sum of quantity, right mouse click, value field, or you can go to summarize by and select average. There's actually another way to do it if anybody's interested. I think there's 5 ways to do it. I think 3 or 4 is good enough for us. Sorry, a count rather. So now we can tell that the number of, the count of each item, so you can tell there's a significant, we're beginning to see a trend here, okay? It shows the count of the orders or the count of rows in any data set for each of these products. So if we went back to the data set, there will be, you know what, let's try it. You don't need to do it. I'm just doing it to show you what he's telling us, why we're doing it. So let me go back to my data set here. And then I'm going to go and clear my filter here. So I'm going to go back and do the categories again. So I'm going to go, maybe let's do beverages. Okay, so select all on beverages. So it says to us that there are 14. So if we go back to our data sheet, sorry, our pivot chart, pivots table, we're going to see what it tells us here. So, yep, 14, exactly the same. And the beautiful thing about this is we are not, it doesn't matter if the filter is working in the table because it doesn't affect us, but I am going to go and clear the filter just to err on the side of caution. All right, so you go clear. So it's kind of a neat little thing. We can actually test this out. So I've got sales by rep, top 10, and now we're working on our whatever this is, okay? So the next little part, if you actually follow his video, this is where he talks about the blank rows. Just simply it was when I was practicing it, it can get very frustrating, but I'm happy. There's a couple of little tricks I can show you if anybody's interested later on. Okay. So I've done the blank rows. We've done the copying, pasting back to the pivot table. And the problem I ran into was because sometimes what he talks about does not happen the way it happens. So his version is a lot older than ours, so you might find a few things don't work exactly right. Okay. Okay. So now we need to give this sheet tab a name, and it's percent of total. Oops, yeah, I got ahead of myself here. Okay. And so the sheet tab is percent of total, PCT, or PCT of total. I need to add one more. I'm going to have to move you guys around, sorry. Okay, so I need to add another quantity in here. So it's going to be sum of quantity and then count of quantity. So I'm going to drag quantity down again, or find it down here. Hopefully I did it. Okay, I put it in the wrong order. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to move this down a little bit. And so we've got sum of quantity. So I can move up. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier just to got sum of revenue. Sum of revenue. So I got that. Just making sure I do everything correctly. Apparently we're going to remove the sum of revenue from this mess. So we have average unit price, sum of quantity, count of quantity.
We don't need sum of revenue, right?
No, we don't. Okay. And so, so then what we want to do, and I'm probably doing this in the wrong order, is we want to be able to find out who made which sales. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag salesperson right below category. Check this out. You're going to love it. So now we can say who did the baked goods. Okay, who did the greatest sales in the baked good? Who did the greatest sales in? We're going to figure it out anyway. So I'm going to drag the salesperson to column. like so. And thankfully for me, the next part is not going to be as painful for us. So we're going to leave this part as it is because we're going to come back to oh gosh, this is the part I'm getting really, what I would say, cringy about. So what I mean by that was I spent about 4 hours last night trying to make my data, be able to append new data to old data. I'm going to show you what happened. And there appears to be, or at least for me, it did not work that well. So let me show you what they want me to do. That way you don't even look at my horrible embarrassment here. So what you notice down here in one of the sheet tabs with January data. So we have only a few orders here. So what we'd like to do, and again, this is right up your alley, is we'd like to be able to append the order, at least the beginning part of the order for data for January, okay, for this 2015, I should say. I'm trying to stumble through these words. So now what we need to do is to be able to select everything, okay, not the headings. So first time, I have to tell you guys, first time I did this last night, I clicked on here and I did my Control-Shift-N and I did my copy and I did my pen and it didn't work. But so make sure you go into the first cell, which is A4, then Control, I love this part, Control-Shift, and the END key, it selects everything in the data set. Okay, so what we're going to do is make a copy of this, and then we're going to go and paste it into the bottom of our data set, and then I'm going to try and force Excel to acknowledge and accept and see that this new data is there. Now, having said that, it did not work last night. In fact, I've even got a few little terse comments in my notes here. So Control-C. Then, again, I'm going to go to the Data Sheet tab. And I'm going to go down to the bottom. And that's a lot. So I'm going to go to Control plus the down arrow. Check this out. So it doesn't matter. Let's see. And I'm just going to go here. Control plus the down arrow. It gets me to the very last cell. So I'm going to get to the cell below that. Simple paste, nothing more. Where my difficulty came in, and I did a lot of research last night, why is this happening? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? It appears there seems to be a lot of issues around the Office 365 and the newer versions, and especially when some of the updates came out. So I'm going to try my best. Don't know how good I'm going to be, but I'm going to do my darndest, okay? All right, so then I'm going to return to my sales by rep. This is the other thing I found was the most important thing was go to your original pivot table. Not anything afterwards, go to the original, the source. Put your insertion point anywhere in here. All right. And then I'm going to try and move you guys out of the way. There it again. And so I'm going to go to my pivot table analyze. There's two ways apparently to do this. And so change data source button. And then click on the button. Don't click on the data. You'll see what I mean by this. So change data source. Don't click on the little arrow here or here. It doesn't work. So click right on the button. It says right now it's A something to Z 68. There's a couple of tips they give us. And so you can do the safest way is what is the last row? I think it's 80 something, 83. Safest way to manually type it in is 83. Now, the next part is try as I could. It did not work for me. So let's see if I can force and then okay. Nope, did not work. I tried the refresh button. Okay, refresh all. I tried going in through my options to make sure that there's nothing in here. The data there that gives you, if you read, there's all sorts of instructions about how to refresh it, how to update it, but everything I've done shows I cannot do it. Okay, it's just the same for me. If you can do it, that's terrific. So that gets us to the end of part 2. Okay, so it's 3 o'clock now. What I'd like to do is I definitely want to come back and make sure I do this percent of total right for you. So I'm going to take I'm going to cheat. I'm taking a 10-minute break. I'm going to go through my written instructions and make sure it works. Then once we come back, then we're going to start on a few more charts, and we are going to put our dashboard together. Okay, so it is 3:05 now, so if it's okay by you guys, we're going to take a little break. I don't need more than 10 minutes. Jeepers. All right, so hopefully everybody's back. One more time, I'm going to jump back into my sharing and caring. Okay, and go here, go share. So what we did was the last thing, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just going to minimize this here, is I could see exactly where I was. We did the sales by rep, all right, and then we made a duplicate. I actually made too many duplicates just to be on the safe side. So the second sales by rep, we did the top 10. Did we do the top 10? I can't remember if yes, we did. So let me do that one more time. Sales by rep. Okay, and you notice here, so sales by rep, and then the top 10. So we had the sum of the revenue and the beverages versus having this. So we yanked out the salespeople and replaced it with the categories here. Okay. So then what you realize initially was there's a lot of them. So what you wanted to do was go to the filter, and then you want to go down to the value filter, and we selected the top 10. All right. Top 10 down. All right. So that was all we needed to do there. So then he asked us to create a duplicate. Okay. And that's getting us back to where I almost did embarrass the heck out of myself. So yet another duplicate. Control, click, and drag. All right. And the most important thing we're going to do before we do anything more, get rid of that top 10 filter. Otherwise, it ain't going to work. I know that because I did that wrong the first time. So row labels filter. And then I'm going to say clear filter. So far, so good. All right, so we're back to normal. So we're going to remove everything except the, we're going to add some. Add a second thing. So we only want the sum of revenue. Check. Okay. But then we want to add a secondary. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Okay, so let's see. Eventually it's going to look like that. So we're not quite there yet. So then I would like to add a second sum of, basically I'm adding a second revenue, and we're going to make this thing, make it do something slightly different here. So drag revenue below that. So the first one is sum. And again, I'm cheating. I'm guilty as charged. So the next one is going to be sum of revenue, and it's going to be the percentages. We want to find the percentage of the whole. All right. So let's go back over here. How and where do we find the percent? This is why we got rid of you. Okay. So what we need to do is to find out, what does this revenue in comparison to everything else, what is it? How does it gear up on there? So right mouse click. And again, you can do this through the friend value field settings, or I want to find out what is this percentage of the whole. Right mouse click on any of these values. And top to bottom, so show values as percentage of the grand total. So basically, think about that as a big pie chart. That's basically what we've done. So it's 17,000 and change divided by the total. So far, so good. And again, I admit to cheating here. All right, so then the next thing we wanted to do is to add and find out who's doing what. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to add the salesperson to below the category. All right, so this part's pretty good. As you go through your data, you'll start recognizing where stuff is. This looks a little better than what I was doing before, but wait, because I know that somebody's saying to me, oh, that's terrible. It is, isn't it? Okay, so that gets us to the point. So that's, and I believe we're going to call that percent of the whole, I think it is. When you think about it, PCT, I think it's what they want to call it. I don't know. Right. And where it says sum of revenue to, again, it's not necessary, but you might want to say percent of the total. And you notice I'm always going to be doing, and I can't spell, I'm always doing this in the formula bar. Okay, and then enter. Looking good. Okay. So we know what we're doing, and we can see who's got the greatest, which area or category has got the greatest sales. So clearly beverages is up there. Dried fruit nuts is up there. Who's making these sales? And by applying the second, and you guys are going to laugh at me, I actually pointed at my screen, realizing you guys can't see me pointing at my screen. So then we wanted to find out who's selling what, and so that's why we dragged the salesperson below the category. Okay, so I've done that. So we can see who's doing. So now what's saying is, this is the part that scares me, is who's doing what. So they're going to say, let's drag the salesperson to columns. Are you sure? All right, let's give it a go. That makes a bit more sense. All right, so now we're seeing what stuff looks like. We could see how much who sales for Nancy for the beverages. So at a glance, not only can you see who's selling what, but you can also see the percentages and all that. And yeah, that poor ugly little chart. And a lot of stuff.
Debbie, this is not related, but like I personally found it, like the previous format, like way more easier to read. This looks so messy to me. I don't know.
It is.
It's so hard to read for me. Like
it is. I completely agree with you. Absolutely. But for now, even if you're looking at your screen, I've got really bad eyesight. I still have to zoom in, but we're not interested in this part yet. Okay. So by that I mean that it's more so it's more so the means to the end. That's what I'm trying to get at.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty ugly. I can't argue with you there. Okay.
The first one was like nice and organized. You could see
Makes sense to you.
It was broken. It was like here beverages. Or like it had whatever earns or makes the greatest sales, and then right under it you could see which sales reps contributed.
Let's try cleaning
in order.
Yeah.
To sales.
Yeah. Why don't we clean this puppy up a little bit? Let's have a go at that. In the legend where it says values, let's remove that. So just so make sure I'm in the right thing columns. Yes. Always making sure you're activating the pivot table versus pivot chart, or I would have made a big mess. I want to remove the values from the column. Maybe not. I'll leave that there. Do I want to remove the percent of the grand total? That might make life easier for us. Is that better for you?
No, I mean, like, I just like the previous chart better just because you were able to, like, we could include all these, values, including the percentage of the total, but it was just organized more neatly.
Yeah, so don't forget, this is the pivot chart, this is pivot table, so this is what we're interested in right now. And,
okay.
Yeah, it's just a table.
You mean it'll create a better chart if we do it in this?
Eventually.
Okay.
We will be creating better chart. All right. Yeah, some of those you kind of got to hold your nose. Okay. And so that looks good. Well, apparently, I have got everything done as it should be for now. So we're going to leave this as is, save it and close it, and I'm going to post part 3 for us. Okay. Again, you'll see why I'm following his the way he sets up, because sometimes the numbers change, sometimes the titles change, sometimes the headings change, even the data set changes. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to post part 3, and this is, I promise you, you are going to love this. I promise you. So let me go back and post part 3 for you. Okay. Stop sharing for a second. That's it. Now I can see it. So stop sharing for a second. That way I can find my chat. I'm going to apply. The next part we're going to be done in 20 minutes or less max. So I'm going to go to my third file. So go File, go down to your computer, my computer, and then I'm going to look for SA link. All right, there we go. Minimize this here. And you guys seeing this? Yeah. This is what it's going to look like by the time we're done. So this is what we are hopefully going to be creating somewhere along the line. So we've got sales by rep. Okay, it's actually not real because it's got top 5, not top 10, and we've got sales by region. So these are give or take what we have here. Okay, so the other thing you notice is on this, the region filter has been attached to or applied to sales by rep. The region filter has been applied to the top 5, not sales by region, because we've actually incorporated it into the to the table. Sorry, the pivot table, and so that gets us to where we are now. Okay. So we're that close. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, I know the other thing. Remember I said to you that he split it to 3 places? Let's have a look at our dates. Remember before we had maybe part of January through December. If you look at how much data he's added now, Control Shift and down, it actually goes down. We've actually gone down to 372 rows. So he's appended a lot more data. So when you look at it, that's why the numbers look slightly different than the previous sheet. So sales by rep, that's why it looks different. Top 5, sales by region. Okay. Okay, so that's where we are. Let's go ahead and move on. We'd like to, so I've added he has actually added, I'd like to say it was me, but he has added the filter. All right. And this is our secret ingredient. The filter works the same as a slicer. We're going to learn about that very shortly. So basically, we're going to add a couple more charts, and you're going to find he's a bit loosey-goosey with what he says he has and what he doesn't say. But if you look at when I first did this, I looked at the videos and I thought, oh, I can do this. Then I did it through the videos. Then I realized it didn't work. I tried and I tried. Then I went back. I kind of broke it down. I did it the other way. There's two. So what I did the second way, I thought, if I can't look, the videos don't, I mean, they're great and they're great resources. Don't get me wrong. But so I thought, well, let's take it from the other way. So I went and looked at every single pivot table he did. And I figured out exactly how he did them. I broke it down into every little piece. And then that way, when I came back to do it, it made a lot more sense to me. So in combination of his pivot table and his chart, his videos, my video, hopefully it'll help you out. So welcome back to Buck. Welcome back. We missed you. All right. So
Thank you.
So anyways, what I was saying about when I first came across this, how I approached it. You will now see that there's a lot of, when you go through your workbook, you'll see that there's a lot more data in our data set. Plus, also for you guys, you'll see when you look at his videos, some of his things look slightly different. So I'm just explaining why. So I've added the filter, except for the sales by region, which is this guy here, right? Duh, Deborah. Of course, you're doing it by region. Why would filter by region? Why would you add? Oh, I have to show you something funny. Me being the stickler that I am, I thought, well, you know, he's applied region filters to everything. So this is what I did. You're going to laugh at this one. Things not to do if you're an Excel instructor. So I thought, oh, I've got region down here. This is good. I'm going to go drag region up here. Nope. You can only have one region. You can't have it in both places. So yeah, things not to do if you're an Excel instructor. Yeah. All right, so that gets us to that point. So now we need to, so now everybody gets to see that some of the data sets changed, some of the names had changed, but where we ended up to be was we're just about ready to make some changes here. Bear with me. And the secret to this, again, is to make sure that when you make a duplicate, you make a duplicate of the sales by rep. Okay? Sorry, sales by, where's my sales by read? Sorry, I'm going to make a duplicate of sales by rep if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to find out very shortly if it is the wrong one. Right now, click and move or copy or control plus. You can see why I like to do that. Okay? So we'd like to be able to create a trend. This is the one that's kind of, he got a bit loosey-goosey with it, but I think that's the one we need. So what we're going to do is we are going to add some information. We're going to remove some information. Okay, so, oh, shoot, it was the sales by region. Oh, Deborah, you're so bad. So sales by region, control T and click. Okay, once we've got the sales by region, we're going to remove, what are we going to remove? We're removing region and replacing it with order dates. Depending on the version of Excel that you're using, your mileage will vary. This is where I found the biggest confusion. So let's get rid of region, like so. And then we're going to get one box here, nothing up here. So I'm going to select order date and drag into row. Okay. Now, when I did mine, I just about freaked out. I did everything exactly right, but because it's a newer version, there's something called grouping. Imagine if we had a record for every single, a row for every single record, every single day. Imagine how massive that would be. Okay. Now, depending on how yours may look, sometimes you will have to do your own grouping. So I'm going to try and do that quickly for you. But 99% of the time, it knows that it's date and it knows how to group it. And so it just does that for us. If it doesn't, you're going to go into, I can't do it because I've already got it done. So right mouse click, group, and then you can just see you've got months and years. So if you don't have months, what does it look like if we have days? Let's go see this. This is your world's worst possible nightmare. All right. So if it looks like this, right mouse click on any of the dates, go to group, curse Deborah for doing this. So it's going to be months, turn off quarters and year, and then okay. So again, if I close the minus, everything closes up, and plus, and then it's grouped by month. So just in case, that's what it looks like. That's what it does. Kind of freaky there. It's going to get freakier, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get much freakier. Okay, so we've done that. So then we've grouped by year, month. Okay. Now, caution. And he'll talk about it. Everybody talks about it. The book talks about it. If you try to group and nothing happens, one of two things is happening there. A, there's a blank cell, so there's a cell with no date. Or B, the date has been formatted by something else, so Excel does not recognize it as date. So if you try to apply it as a group, those are the two reasons it won't. Then you go back to your data and sort it out. All right. So now we need to, so we've got that, and we need to change the chart to a line. Again, he's a bit loosey-goosey with this bit, so I'm going to say sales by region. I'm sure we should give it a different name, so go from format. Make sure I do this the right way, pivot chart. Go to design, and I'm going to change the chart. I could have done it anyway, but it's the line. And then, okay. Yep, so it's a little freaky, but that's okay. So I actually like the column better, but I know. And you can also add little bits and bobs to it, like, where are you? No, I guess we'll leave it here like that says. But there's a lot that you can do to it, and you can see down here you've got the months. As I say, I prefer the columns, but yeah, what do I know? Okay. So now, so we change it up. So now it's time to duplicate sales by region again. Again, this is the mistake I almost made. Like I said, it's been around for a while, but select sales by region, select the control key, click and drag. Okay, it doesn't matter where we put it. I guess we've been doing it to the right. So we are now going to create something called, what does he call it? He calls it distribution chart. Again, more so the kind of fields that you guys are going into, this might be useful stuff. So we're going to make the distribution chart. So let's remove everything and start off with a blank slate. Yes, strange it is. So let's do that. So let's remove the region from the rows and the sum of revenue from the balance. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is it goes completely against logic. We are going to drag the revenue field into the rows. Okay? It works, but it's weird. Revenue into rows. Again, depending on your version, you may or may not have this here. If you have like a whole bunch of numbers here, don't worry about it. There's a right mouse click, and if I'm not mistaken, it is pivot table options. Oh, that's right. You may end up having to group. I don't because it's automatic. If you manually have to go and group yourself, you start at 0, and I guess it says we're ending by 4,000 because we don't want to make it too big, and our increments are by thousands. So everything between 0 and 1,000 will be in the first grouping. Second one, third, fourth, fifth, as many as we need. So these can be changed if need be. All right. So this is almost like our headings, if you will. So now we finally get to do something normal. Again, we're dragging a copy or revenue into the values. Check this out. This is just brilliant. This is just the best ever. All right. So again, it's giving you what these things are. All right. And yeah, the only thing I have not done, but I believe I did keep a little snapshot of it. No, that's not it. Was it the other one? No, maybe not. All right. So I had a snap. Oh, we have the good dashboard here. And so we know what each, because he's very loosey-goosey with the title. So we know 2014 sales trend. So we know that. Okay, where did we? I've gone and lost it. Oh, there it is. 2014 sales trend. So again, just as you see fit, 2014 sales trend. Now you know why I left that there for us. Okay, trends. It's very similar to trends, but it's FE. All right. Again, you can do any formatting you want to here, whatever you want to. Entirely up to you. I'm keeping mine simple. I'm going to show you, like I said, I like the one with the columns, but he does that. All right. Time to create ourselves a dashboard, ladies and gentlemen. We've been here. This is the big office event. So let's create ourselves all that work on the other sheets, all for this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure I haven't forgotten anything, which I'm sure I have. Blank worksheet. So the little circle plus, let's click on that. And let's call that, I don't know, my dashboard or dashboard. So sheet tab is going to be called dashboard. I'm just going to do my name on the end. All right. So now the first thing we want to do with the sheet is we want to give it a nice bland background. There's a little trick that is very cool. Let me just get rid of the format sheet here. Click on the select all button, which is intersection between the A and the 1. And at 4 o'clock, if anybody has to leave, I understand. We're that close, but I understand if you've got someplace to be. Then you're going to apply a shaded gray that you like, anyone. I grabbed the second one, I think it was. If it's too, maybe I'm going to go to the first one. Yeah, that's a little better. So if it's too dark or too light, you can always just change it. So let's try the second one. I like this because then suddenly you've got, it's perfect. It's a great background. So then the next thing they're going to ask us to do is we are going to make sure I put everything over. Okay.
And Debbie, are you following the book, the textbook right now at this point?
Not even close. I have my handout, which I'm going to be sending to you guys.
Oh,
As well as you'll have the videos that I have got and the video that he's got. He never wrote this down. I've had to write this whole thing down myself.
okay.
So, yeah. There's it because it's not in the book. It's a project versus an assignment. It's a project versus in the book. That's why it's like this. Sorry, guys. It's just I think
No
I've got
problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deborah. Yeah, Deborah, I am sorry. I have to go because my uncle came. We will go to somewhere. See you next
All
session.
right. See you next
Have a
week.
good weekend.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye. Enjoy. So let me just wrap this up. So we've got it out of points. We've created the blank worksheet, the sheet. We've applied the nice gray background. All right. And I've changed the chart headings as needed. So now let's start making a copy of all of these charts. We're going to paste each one of them into our dashboard. What you might want to do is I'm going to drag mine to the right so it's right next to what he already did. Okay, so we've got the good dashboard, which is his. And then we've got the my dashboard. So what I'm going to do is make a copy of each chart. And I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to paste it into my dashboard. So select Control C. And I'm just going to kind of put them where I think they should be. Control V. All right. And if I need to change the headings, I've got a little comment here, or the titles, I've got that. So top 5 customers, select Control C. And go back over here. If you don't like the order, we can rearrange. Whoa, that's one reason I say don't select inside. So we've got these two here. Okay, yep. Then we've got that and that. So hopefully I've got all 4. So by region, yep. Control C. Hopefully I've got everybody here. Okay. You notice these are all different sizes. We're going to actually have to figure this one out very shortly. So by region. Okay, again, it's wrong the title, but we'll figure out the title. So right now, let's click copy and go back over to dashboard Deb. And the last guy is going to be the one at the top. So what do I do? Is okay. I need to move these guys down a bit. So there's no magical way to do it for now, just for convenience. I'm just shoving them down a bit because I need to be able to put the big chart here. So last but not least is the region. This is it. So this one here is going to go on the top. This is our sales trend. Control C. Oh, try it again. Control C and dashboard. Okay. And size things accordingly. One of the things you make, one of the things we're going to do is make all the 4 boxes the same size. Then we're going to make it so if somebody ends up with a larger, sometimes if you make your columns larger or smaller, what will happen is your shapes will actually expand and contract accordingly. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. And then we're going to do the magic, which is actually based on 2 slicers. And you're going to be pretty darn happy. So I'm going to make this as big as we want to. I'm going to make it, I don't know, we're going to make it about P, I guess. It's as good as anywhere. So I'm going to put these guys all give or take where I think they should be. And then we are going to arrange them to be all the same size. And then we're going to align them, and then we're going to make it so everything works fine. Apply our filters, apply our slicers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we want these guys all to be exactly the same size. So I've highlighted all 4 of them, and I'm going to select the shape format, and I'm going to go to where it says size. So let's make it 2.5 inches by 3. I think it's as good as anything. If you don't like it, make it bigger. And then enter. I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3.5. Or 2.5 by 4. Okay, there. That's okay, I guess. Obviously, you're going to be spending a little bit more time. I will give you you'll have the titles of each one of the titles in the proper dashboard. Okay, now the other thing I want to do is tidy these guys up. You notice because I selected them all as one, so I had to deselect. So, yep, all the same size. Little trick here, if you don't know, so I'm going to select these 2 guys here, the first 2. Home shape format, align, and align top. So now we've made them both exactly the same. Then I need to say, you can select the first 2, select, and control key and select. You can spend a lot of time doing this, align right. So shape format, align, arrangement, and align right. And then you'll do the same thing with these 2 guys. Basically, you're just tidying everything up. Okay. Make them nice, neat, and tidy. We spend a lot of time doing this. You probably want to keep them fairly close. All right. And now you realize you don't need this one as big. That's about right-ish. Okay. The only other thing we need is actually 2 more steps, and then the magic is done. The first step is to apply the 2 slicers. Then the second step for it is to connect or associate the slices with all the charts. Okay, and so let's do that. So let's go first of all. Select myself person, I believe it is. Let's make sure I'm doing it right. Sales trend. Okay, so I have to select sales trend because everything bounces off this one. This is kind of if you think about it as the pivot or the center, or the epicenter of everything. So this is the one I select. And from here, I'm going to pivot chart, analyze, slicer. Once I've inserted slicer, from this list, I'm going to select 2. One of them is region, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check my notes. And then the other one, region, yeah. Oh, I forgot to do the properties, didn't I? I had to do that. So before I go much further, sales trend and salesperson. Okay, so it's going to be salesperson. Almost very important. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Oh, right next to it. Okay, and then okay. To move these guys out of the way just for now, but the only thing I want to do, if you have a problem when you enlarge or increase your column rows, and it doesn't matter where you are, so there's a little trick. Okay. So we want to select all the charts, and there's no magical way to do this. I'm just going to click on each one of them. Control, doesn't matter, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I've got all 4 highlighted. Sorry about the paper noise. Okay. And so then what we want to do is we want to go Format, Shape, Size Dialog Box Launcher, Properties, and don't move or size with cells. Allows chart to work independently. Let's do that. So Shape, Format. Okay, now I'm going to move this guy out of the way. I'm going to go to the Size Dialog Box down here. And Properties. Don't move or size with cell. So basically, if the cells change, this stays exactly the same. I already had that done on mine, so as did he. So that's how that is. So don't move or size with cells. This is great for anything. It doesn't have to be our pivots chart. So we're almost done. The last two things we need to do is we can size these. There's lots you can do with it. You can change the font and color in that. So we'll put the salesperson on top. And this underneath doesn't really make a difference where you put them. You can size them. So what I need to do is to be able to attach or associate this slicer with every one of them. That's why every single chart was based on sales by salesperson. Everything kind of it's almost like everything is born from that, if you will. Okay, so what we need to do for this one is select this. And then you're going to go to Slicer. And then somewhere in the Slicer, I am looking for, before I do it, I have to show that to you. If I select East, only one or two things here will change for East. Okay. I think it's because I've already done mine, and you may end up finding yours is done too. Okay. Report connections. And unfortunately, I've already done this, so if you don't have any check marks here, you'll come back and do that. Okay. And make sure there is a check mark with every single pivot table. So that means that if I select Andrew, all pivot charts will act like a filter. Okay, so it's like, well, it's a filter. So let's see what happens if let's see. I'm going to leave sales trend, I guess. I'm just going to use the one. So if I say, okay, Laura may or may not move. North or south may or may not move. So some will work, some won't. So what we need to do is be able to associate or connect where and where. So right now, it did exactly what we told it to. So go to report connection. And then just make sure every single checkbox is marked. And this, and the same thing with the region here. And you notice report connection is on the right mouse click, and there's another place too, I forget where it is. So making sure that each box has a check mark in it. Okay, so if we were to say south, so we can reflect and see the south. Okay. When you're putting this together now, that's when you realize, oh, I want to make it bigger or smaller, shift things around. Okay. You do want to make sure everything can be seen. Let's say west. Clear. So maybe I want it to be east and west. How can I do that? By clicking on the little multi-selector, east and west. Okay. So some will see, some will have done. And that's it. Okay. So I'm going to stop my recording now. You guys don't need to see that or worry about it. So that is the end of that. Okay. Okay, so that's everything. Thank you very much for your patience.
I agree. Yeah, it was fun stuff, like you said.
Yeah, and you learned. So that's good. So
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I will see you lovely people one day next week, Tuesday. Perfect. Beautiful. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Have a
Thank you,
great day. Thanks
Debbie.
very much. Bye.